In this video, I'll be working on lab number 20 from the Flackbox.com Cisco CCNA lab guide, which is a free download that you can get from Flackbox.com. And this is lab number 20, which is going to be on NAT. So let's jump down to NAT configuration. And it says, in this lab, you will configure static and dynamic network address translation and port address translation. The routers, servers, and PCs have been configured with their network address settings. R1 is the WAN edge router, which is right here at your company. It has a default IP route pointing to the service provider router SP1. You have bought the range of public IP addresses 203.0.113.0/28. 203.0.113.1 is assigned to the service provider default gateway SP1, which is here. 203.0.113.2 is assigned to the internet facing F00 interface on your router 1. 203.0.113.3 through 14 are your remaining available public IP addresses. Note that entries in the NAT translation table age out quickly. Send the traffic again if you do not see the expected results in the table. All right, let's get started with static NAT. It says interface S1, or not interface, internal, I think is what that stands for, S1, is your company's web server. It must be reachable from external customers browsing the internet. Configure NAT on R1 so that the external customers can reach the server using the public IP address of 203.0.113.3. Do not change any IP addressing or routing information. So we're starting with number 1. We need to create a fixed IP address on router 1. So let's get started there. And we'll go to global configuration mode. We'll start with interface, fast Ethernet, and that's going to be 00. And that's going to be our outside. So we need to configure that as IP NAT outside. And then the inside is going to be 01. So let's go there. T, interface, fast Ethernet. That was 01. 01. And that's going to be our inside. So inside, okay, that's done. We have to configure, so we have to configure a static NAT rule mapping the inside address, which is 10.0.1.10, to the external address, to the global address, which is 203.0.113.3. So let's do that, and we need to get drop down to global configuration mode and IP NAT. We're going to do inside. That's source, static, and the IP address for that is 10.0.1.10, which we get right here from internal server 1. And then we have to show the global IP address, which will be 203.0.113.3, which we get from here. And that should do that. Okay, and then let's go to, yeah, that should be good. So that should take care of that. Now it's saying ping external server 1 from internal server 1 to check the NAT rule is working and you have connectivity. So we have to ping external server 1 from internal server 1. So let's do that. So let's pull up internal server 1, and we're going to go to command prompt. Nope, sorry. We're going to go to command prompt, and we're going to ping 203.0.113.20, which is external server 1. And let's see what we get with that. Sure, we have connectivity, request timed out. It could be ARP, but let's make sure. I'm going to jump forward in time in packet tracer. So we don't have connectivity there. Ping external from internal server 1. Let me try it again just to make sure and jump forward in time. So timing out. So we don't have connectivity there. Let's see here. So ping. Well, I don't have it. I don't have connectivity for some reason. Let's move on to see what the next step is telling us though. On external server 1, we want to click on desktop view, then open web browser, open the natted public IP address of internal server 1 at 203.0.113.3. Oh, you know what? I wonder if yeah, it is up. Okay, and let's see what happens with that. In the browser to verify that, external customers on the internet can reach your web server. So 203.0.113.3, it's not working. Hold on, I'll try that again. Pull up the web browser. 203.0.113.3. Go. Not doing anything. Let's see what it's saying. So the configuration is not working. Okay, so let's go back to this, pull up the command. Let's ping 10.0.1.10. And it's unreachable. I may have made a mistake. So let's go back over here and let's look at router 1. And from router 1, let's do end. And let's do a show IP NAT translation. So we have 10.0.1.0.10. I mean 10. Yeah, 10.0. Oh, I think I made a mistake in the IP address. Let's go back up here and see. Yep, I did. That's why we're not having any connectivity. So we got to get rid of this line right here. Let's delete that. And yeah, that was a mistake. All right, let's fix that. So we have to go back to global configuration mode, and we're going to just type no, and I'm going to paste that command that I just copied, and that'll get rid of that. And we're going to change that to the correct IP address. So IPNet inside source. That's what happens when you make a typo. 10.0.1.10, and then the external is 203.0.113.3. All right, and now let's do show IP NAT translation, and we have 203.0.113 map to 10.0.1.10. Okay, that's good. So let's go back over here, and from external server 1, ping external server 1 from internal server 1. So let's try that this time. So command prompt. And external server 1 is 203.0.113.20. And now we have a reply. That's good. And on external server 1, click on the desktop, pull up the web browser, open and added a public IP address of 203.0.113.3. All right. To verify that external customers on the internet can reach web server, so they did. So it'll show you here, you will see the output shown below if your configuration is working, Cisco packet tracer, etc., etc. So that's working. All right, so moving on. So step 4, verify the connection appears in the NAT translation table. Note that entries age out quickly, so generate the traffic again if you don't check the table quickly enough. And to do that, we have to go back to router 1, and let's do end, and let's do a show IP NAT translation. And we have, so 10.0.1.10 is mapped to 203.0.113.3. Okay, so that looks good, right? That's all we need for step 4. Verify the connection. Okay, yep. So now we're on to dynamic NAT. Configure NAT on router 1 so that PCs in the 10.0.2.0/24 subnet, which would be over here, have connectivity to external networks on a first come, first served basis. Assign global addresses from the range 203.0.113.4 through 12. Do not enable port address translation. All right, so we need to start at R1. We're going to need to set our outside NAT interface. So that is going to be conf T. We got to get in global configuration mode, and we want to go to interface fast Ethernet, and that's 00 is the outside one, which is here. And we want to make that IP NAT outside. And now we need to do 10, which would cover this network over here, this subnet. So, and we're going to do, so we have to go to an interface fast Ethernet 10. And we want to make that IP NAT inside. Inside. Okay, so we got the outside one assigned, inside one assigned. We need to configure a pool of global addresses, and to do that, it's going to be 2034 through 12. Okay. Back to global configuration mode, and it's IP NAT in the pool. Okay, so a name, we just need to name it, which will be Flackbox. And then next step is the starting IP address. I'm just hitting the question mark to kind of walk through this. So 203.0.113.4 is what it says to do, start with here. And then another question mark tells us we need the ending IP address. So that'll be 203.0.113.12. And then the next thing I need is the net mask. So we need that command, net mask, and we just need to give it the net mask number. Yeah. So we have 4 through 12. And if we have a net mask of, say we had 4 host bits, 2, 4, 8, 16 minus 2 would be 14. That would be enough. So if we had a net mask of a 240, so 255.255.255.240, and that should be everything for that particular command. So we have to create, we got to create an access list referencing the internal IP addresses. So that's going to be access list 1 and permit, and 10.0.20 is the network, 10.0.20, 10.0.2.0 with the wildcard of 0.0.0.255, which means anything in that network, right? So that should cover that. Configure Nat on R1. We have to associate the access list with the NAT pool also. So we need IP NAT, and then we want inside source list 1, and then pool, and the name is going to be Flackbox, and that should be that. IP NAT inside source list 1 pool Flackbox. Okay. That should be everything for step 5. Configured it. Globe addresses from 4 to 12. Do not enable port address translation. Okay. Step 6. Turn on NAT debugging on router 1. All right, we'll start there. And go to end, and we want debug IP NAT. Okay, IP NAT debugging is on. Ping external server 1 from PC1. From PC1, we're going to ping external server 1. So ping 203.0.113. Oop. My fingers got crazy. .20. All right, and that was 203.0.113.20. Let's see how that does. All right, we have a reply. That's good. And now it says view the debug output on R1. All right, let's go back over here. And it says you should see NAT entries for the pings. Which global address was PC1 translated to? Let's open. Oops, wrong way. Bring this up a little more. And PC1 is 10.0.2.10. So 10.0.2.10 was translated to 203.0.113.4. Okay, that answers that question. Number 7, verify the ping connection appears in the NAT translation table. All right, so we got to open router 1 back up, and we want to look at the NAT translation table. So that is show IP NAT translations, and we should see 203.0.113.3 and 10.0.2.10. Let me open this back up again. Or I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. This is the server. So, wait, what was it asking us again? Verify the ping connection appears in the NAT translation table. So that was out to 203.0.113.20. 20, okay, this here came back to, I think I made a mistake, but let's look here. I'm gonna step back. Ping external 1 from PC1. Okay. And that's pinging. And then I'm going to jump down here Verify the ping connection appears in the NAT translation table. And oh, okay, now it's there. It looks like. I think it just timed out because 10.0.2.10 is here, going out to 203.0.113.20, which is here. Okay, so it's there, and ICMP is ping. So there we go. So we verified the ping connection appears in the NAT translation table. So NAT translation tables do update quickly, I guess, so just resend the traffic if you don't see it. When all the addresses in the pool 203.0.113.4 through 12 have been allocated, all right, and that's what we had set up here. What will happen when the next PC tries to send traffic to an external host? Okay, if all the addresses have been allocated, nothing's going to happen. It's going to fail because we have a limited number of IP addresses. So it will fail. And number 9, it says enable port address translation, or PAT, so that the last IP address in the range can be reused when all the IP addresses have been allocated to clients. Okay, so that would solve this problem here of when you have a fixed number of IP addresses, port address translation will allow you to reuse. So we have to go back to router 1, and we're going to start by clearing this table. So we're going to do clear, and then IP, NAT, and we want translation. Move this out of the way. And we want everything deleted. So let's do the asterisk. All right, and then let's go to Comp T for global configuration mode. And let's see here. Cleared the translation table. So number 9, enable port address translation so that the last IP address in the range can be reused. Okay, so we have to do that overload command. So it's going to be IP NAT inside, and then we're going to do source list 1, and then pool, and that's Flackbox was the name of it, and then the command is overload, which will allow us to use that. Okay, and then enable port address translation. So that's what the overload does. Okay, so 10, cleanup. Completely remove the access list and all NAT configuration from R1. Use the commands show run section NAT show access list to verify all configuration is removed. Okay, so we're going to use that to see all that we did. And show run, pipe it out to the section command beginning with NAT. And these are the commands we're going to have to get rid of right here. Got to get rid of all of this. Let's copy that. Let's paste it into Notepad so we can easily reference it. Okay, so those are the commands we're going to have to dump. All right, so we could just arrow through the commands until we saw them, but I think it's easier to do it this way. All right, so we have to clean up the outside, so that's IPNet outside. Let's get rid of that command. That was for interface F00. So let's copy that or cut that, and we're going to go down to that has to be in no, we need to be, yeah, interface fast Ethernet 00, and then issue the no command and paste that first command because that was the outside. Okay, that takes care of that one. Now we need to do the inside. So here's IPNAT inside. We're going to grab that command. And we're going to end. We're going to do conft. We're going to do interface, and that's 01. No, 10. Yeah, 01, which is this one. We've got to get rid of that too. So interface fast Ethernet 01. And then issue no, and then paste that command to undo it. So no IPNAT inside. Might take care of that one. And then we got to get rid of the other IPNAT inside. So cut that and exit. And that would have been interface 10. So interface fast Ethernet 10. And no, issue the no command, paste that command in there. No IPNAT inside. Okay, I'll get rid of that one. We need to get rid of IPNAT inside source static. We need to get rid of that one too. I can't remember if that was at global configuration or let's try it here. I want to see if that was at global configuration or not. IPNAT inside source. That was at, yeah, we have to be in global configuration. So let me hit Control U. I'm going to drop down a level, and then I'm going to copy and paste this command, or cut and paste. And we want to undo that command, so no, and paste no IPNAT inside source static 10.01.10 to 203.0.113.3. So that should be correct. Yes, looks like it. All right, and then we have to we're going to need to clear that. So clear IP NAT translation. Oh no, wrong prompt. Sorry, got to drop down a level. Exit, and then clear IP NAT translation, and then we want everything, all dynamic translations. So get rid of all of that. And then we have the, got to get rid of this one, IPNAT inside source list 1 pool Flackbox overload. So we got to get back into global configuration mode to get rid of that. So conft T, and then we'll issue the no command, and we're going to paste that. And that takes care of that one, which leaves us with this final command here. And we will cut, and we'll issue the no command. And we're going to paste that. All right, that should be everything, because our list over here, Notepad, is now empty. So let's end, and let's do a show running configuration. Pipe that out to the section command, and we're looking for NAT. And there's nothing there, so that's good. So we've removed everything, and we also need to look at the show access list. And so we have one listing, standard IP access list, 10 permit, 10.0, 16 matches. So I think I need to get rid of that too, because that was when we were working with the 10.02 network. Yeah, so we need to go into global configuration mode, and we need to issue the command. I think it'll just be no access list 1 permit, and it was 10.0.20 and 0.2.0. and then 0.0.0.255 because it was everything in that network. And now let's do show access lists. Okay, now there's nothing, so that's taken care of. All right, I think we have everything cleaned up. Close that. Completely remove the access list and all NAT configuration from R1. So that should be done. Use the command show run NAT and show access list of error file configuration is removed. Okay, we did that. Moving along to port address translation. Your company no longer has a range of public IP addresses. Instead, you will receive a single public IP address via DHCP from your service provider. So that'll be over here. Shutdown interface F00 on router 1 and remove its IP address. Okay, well, let's start with that. And then on router 1, we need to go to global configuration mode, and we want interface fast Ethernet 0, 0. And it says to shut it down, so we'll hit the shutdown command. And then remove its IP address. And so we'll issue the no IP address command. That'll take care of that. And reconfigure it to receive its IP address via DHCP. So that's just IP address and then DHCP. And that should do that. And from the service provider on SP1. Okay, so 12 is bring the interface back up, so no shut, and wait for DHCP. And it looks like DHCP is working. So let's do a do show IP interface brief. And what do we have? 00 has an IP address of 203.0.113.13, which was dynamically assigned by DHCP. Good deal. So that's done. All right, bring the interface back up. Okay, we got that. So 13, configure NAT on router 1 so that PCs in the 10.0.2.0 subnet have connectivity to external networks on a first come, first served basis. Allow multiple PCs to reuse the IP address on interface F00 on R1. Ensure that NAT continues to work if the DHCP address assigned by the provider changes. Okay, so we have to configure NAT on router 1 so that all these PCs have connectivity to external networks. Allow multiple PCs to reuse the IP address on this interface. And make sure NAT continues to work if the DHCP address assigned by the provider changes. So we need to make this an outside interface first, F00. And we're going to go to drop down a level to global configuration mode. And we want to do an interface fast Ethernet 0, 0. And we're going to make that IP NAT. We're going to make that an outside. And now we need to make sure we set up this interface, which is 1, 0 coming into this network where the PCs are located. And we need to make that inside. So drop down a level, and then we're going to do interface fast Ethernet 1, 0. And we need to assign that IP NAT inside. And that's done. All right, and move this over a little bit, connectivity. Okay, so we have to so we need to create an access list referencing internal IP addresses that we want to translate. So we're going to go drop down to global configuration mode, and we're going to create access list 1, and we're going to permit, and this is for the 10.0.2.0 network. So 10.0.2.0. And we want anything in the 10.0.2.0. So the wildcard is 0.0.0.255. And we need to associate the access list with the outside interface. And the reason why we want to associate the access list to the outside interface is because DHCP, since this interface is getting its IP address via DHCP, that IP address can change because DHCP could issue a different one to it. So we need to associate the access list we created to a specific interface. So we'll go back to global configuration mode, and it's going to be IP NAT, and then inside, and then source, and should be list. Yep, list 1, and the command is interface, and we want interface fast Ethernet 00, which is this one, and we want overload because we want to make sure that it reuses for it so we don't run out of IP addresses. So IP NAT inside source list 1 interface fast Ethernet. Oh yeah, overload. So right, yeah, overload. Okay, so that's done, and that should take care of that. Sure that NAT continues to work. Okay, so we did that. Ensure NAT debugging on R1 is still enabled. I don't know if I disabled that or not. On PC1, click on desktop. PC1, click on desktop. Open the web browser. Open the public IP address of external server 1 at 203.0.113.20. All right, and we got a response. Verify that pad is working. You can reach external servers, so we did. Okay, and then let's move down to visit the debug option on R1. Oh, there it is. Which global IP address was PC1 translated to? So PC1 is 10.0.2.10. So 10.0.2.10 was translated to 203.0.113.13. All right, on PC2, click on desktop web browser. Open the public IP address of external server 1 at 203.0.113.20. Okay, we got a response. Let's go verify the connections. Oh no, wait. Which global IP address is PC2 translated to? So PC2 is 10.0.2.11. Let's look at the debug output. And 10.0.2.11. All right, also translated to 203.0.113.13. So 10.0.2.10, which is PC1 and PC2, both were using the 203.0.113.13 IP address, which is good. That means it's reusing it. We want that. All right. Should verify the connections in the net translation table. So we got to go over to router 1. And we want to look at the NAT translation table. So we'll we're going to do show IP NAT translations. And let's see what we got there. So you have so 203.0.113, which was we saw was assigned to both PC1 and 2. So here's PC1.10 and PC2.11, and they were both using that. So yes. And and they went to 203.0.113.20, which was the outside server. Port 80 is HTTP. So we are seeing the connections in the NAT translation table. And then it finally says show NAT statistics on R1. Let's do show IP NAT and statistics. And then we'll look at that. And so the outside interface is 0, 0, inside is 1, 0, hits 132, misses, translations are expired, etc. So, and that looks to be the end of the lab. So that was NAT configuration. It's the 20th lab in the Flackbox free download, and I will see you in the next video.